You ever seen a reality show where the realest drama isn't scripted? Because this one, it's raw, unresolved, and bubbling hotter than sweet tea on a Georgia sidewalk. Quad thought she dropped a casual bomb, saying sweet tea wouldn't even be on Married to Medicine if it weren't for her. Just another flex, right? Wrong. Because what happened next wasn't just backlash, it was a reckoning. Mariah, the woman who created the show, didn't just clap back, she broke the fourth wall. See, Mariah and Quad? They used to be tight. Like, matching energy, screen presence, sisterhood tight. Mariah brought Quad into the spotlight, dressed her image, handed her a platform. But then fame walked in, and friendship walked out. What started as loyalty turned into silence. Then shadows. Jealousy, ego, betrayal. Real Shakespeare meets Bravo energy. And now? With Quad rewriting the guest list, Mariah decided to rewrite the record. But this wasn't just a defense, it was a reveal. A confession wrapped in receipts. She said Quad had been erasing her, slowly, methodically, as if legacy could be edited out like a blooper. Fans had suspected something. But now, they had words. Confirmation, and a villain. Mariah didn't whisper. She reminded the world, Married to Medicine was her brainchild. If anyone deserved credit for who made it through those doors, it was her, not the understudy trying to headline the script. Suddenly the conversation shifted. It wasn't petty beef anymore. It was history, power, and who gets to write the story. Was Quad just loud, or was she strategic? Had she been pushing others out, one smile at a time, to stay center stage? And just when the pot started to simmer, Quad jumped in again, fast. She took it online, doubled down, and spun it her way. According to her, sweet tea's rise was her doing. And Mariah, just bitter, thirsty for attention, missing the spotlight she once owned. Now the audience was split like a reunion special with no moderator. Some backed Quad, calling her bold, a hustler, a queen who carried the show into a new era. Others saw Mariah not as bitter, but as buried. And finally, clawing her way back up with the truth. Then, like clockwork, the internet did what it does best. It unearthed receipts. An old interview resurfaced. Mariah, years ago, hinted that certain people tried to silence her, to white out her contributions while riding the wave she created. Back then, it was vague. Now, it was like the puzzle pieces clicked, and Quad's name was suddenly stamped in bold. The cast started reacting, without saying a word. Cryptic tweets, suspicious likes, mysterious Insta captions that said everything without saying anything. And just like that, it wasn't just Mariah versus Quad anymore. It was everyone reevaluating everything. The masks were off, the credits were under review, because this wasn't about sweet tea anymore. It was about empire, about control, about who built the house, and who moved in like they owned the deed. And just when it felt like the storm might calm, boom. Another twist dropped, one that changed everything. This wasn't the finale, it was just the cold open. And if this is how the story starts, just imagine how it ends. You ever think two people are fighting for the throne, only to find out the real king was never in the room? That's exactly what just unfolded in the world of Married to Medicine. While Mariah and Quad were throwing verbal punches and flexing their receipts, a leaked private message dropped like a thunderclap. And no, it didn't come from a bitter ex or a shady blog. It came from someone tied directly to the show. The message said something wild. Neither Mariah nor Quad had the power they thought they did. The real decisions about who got cast, they came from higher up, people we never see, the ones who actually run the show behind the velvet curtain. Suddenly, the whole Mariah versus Quad saga started to look like two chess pieces fighting over who moved the pawn, while the players sat quietly in the shadows sipping tea. Let's rewind for a second. This beef wasn't just about sweet tea landing a spot on the show. It was decades of pride, scars, and silent side-eyes bubbling up at once. Mariah took the opportunity to remind everyone she was the origin story of Married to Medicine. She built it, she pitched it, she carried it before it had legs. According to her, if anyone should get the credit for casting, it's the one who created the whole game. But Quad? Oh, she didn't flinch. She clapped back without missing a beat, basically saying Mariah was living in reruns and the world had moved on. According to her, success now wore a new face, and it wasn't stuck in the past. Suddenly, it wasn't just a feud. It was a full-blown narrative war. Think Game of Thrones, but with confessional interviews, Instagram shade, and suspiciously timed throwback clips. And then the rest of the cast? They didn't have to say a word, because their likes, retweets, and cryptic captions did all the talking. One cast member posted, "The truth always comes out, and when it does, phew, Chile. No names, just smoke." And everyone knew exactly who was standing in the fire. Then came the twist nobody had on their bingo card. Sweet Tea wasn't just some random pick. A new piece of info dropped. Turns out she's got a secret connection to someone already in the cast. Yeah, so this wasn't just about who brought her in, it was about why she was there in the first place. Suddenly, the casting wasn't just casting. It was chess moves, paybacks, and quiet revenge. And just when the dust almost started to settle, another curveball hit. Old clips of Mariah began resurfacing. Moments when she subtly hinted that her exit wasn't as clean-cut as it looked. That she wasn't walking away, she was being nudged out. Softly, strategically. Former cast members who hadn't spoken in years started breaking their silence like ghosts returning to the scene of a crime. Some sided with Mariah, saying her exit always smelled funny. Others rode with Quad, saying Mariah just couldn't handle being yesterday's headline. But the wildest part? Sweet Tea, who'd been sipping quietly from the sidelines, finally stepped up. No more silence. No more playing the innocent bystander. She had watched the drama unfold in real time. But silence, especially in reality TV, is just another way of being erased. And she wasn't about to let that happen. And that is when things really got interesting. Because behind the hashtags, the glam, and the backstabbing smiles, someone's been rewriting the story. And for the first time, the pen might finally be slipping out of their hands. More to come. Jordan from True Story is watching every move. You thought this was just another reality TV spat? Think again. What started as petty shade between Mariah and Quad turned out to be something much deeper. Something that cracked open the glossy surface of reality TV and exposed what really goes on behind the scenes. Sweet Tea, new to the show, married to Dr. G, and tired of being treated like she snuck in through the side door, finally spoke up. And let's just say, she didn't come to play supporting cast. She came swinging, publicly claiming she earned her spot, not because of anyone's invitation, but because she was, quite literally, married to medicine. But instead of calming things down, Sweet Tea's bold move lit the match. Suddenly, fans weren't just watching a catfight, they were watching a power struggle unfold in real time. Quad started to look less like a seasoned queen and more like a gatekeeper guarding a crumbling throne. Was she trying to protect the brand, or just protect her seat at the table? That question alone had fans going back through years of clips like detectives reopening a cold case. And Mariah? She wasn't sipping tea. She was pouring it, loudly. She pointed out something that most fans had missed. If Sweet Tea had to fight this hard just to be respected, what did that say about the culture of the show? About who gets the spotlight? And who gets silently edited out? That's when the narrative shifted. This wasn't about a cast. This was about a system. Mariah reminded everyone again that she created Married to Medicine. But this time, she went beyond words. She brought receipts, actual emails, internal messages, quiet legal battles that had been swept under the rug. She showed that her exit wasn't some mutual decision. It was a slow, deliberate push. And just like that, social media exploded. Some fans were furious, demanding justice for Mariah. Others said she needed to let go, that the show had moved on. But the real storm wasn't in the comments. It was in the realization that this had been happening in plain sight the whole time. Meanwhile, Sweet Tea made a decision that surprised everyone. She stepped back. Not because she was defeated, but because she refused to be a pawn in someone else's game. She didn't want to be remembered as collateral damage in a war she didn't start. She wanted to be known for her own story, not someone else's shadow. And that's when the real truth hit. This wasn't just about TV. This was about power, about voice, about who gets to tell their story and who gets edited out of it. Especially for Black women in entertainment, the message was loud and clear. Being the creator doesn't guarantee you a seat. Sometimes, the house you build locks you out when it's time to reap the rewards. In the end, no one came out completely clean. Quad still had the influence, Mariah still had the fan base, and Sweet Tea? She walked out of the storm with her own voice intact. But the real plot twist? From now on, fans won't just watch the show. They'll watch what happens after the credits roll. They'll ask, Who's really pulling the strings? Because sometimes the most explosive scenes are the ones that never made it to air. And that's the kind of drama you don't need a script for. This is Jordan, and you're watching True Story.